Hey everyone, Dev with Crime Hive, and in this true crime video, we're going to give you another Suzanne Morphew update. As you can see here, you got Andy Mormon, Suzanne's brother, was on the show, and we learned a few interesting new pieces of information. Don't know if everything is true or false or what, but it is very interesting nonetheless. So we're going to talk about that, and then I'm just going to give an update in the case here involving the death of, well, you've got Ivry Hall here, who was convicted of murdering Adam Dowdell, and I've got some new information from his first court appearance. So Ivry Hall's first court appearance, we're going to talk about some of those new updates, and we've learned more about what may have happened in that case. And then last, I'm going to give you just a quick update on Braylen Noble's case. We're still waiting for more, especially with the search warrant that evidence was gathered from. So I'm going to cover a quick update on that as well. Now, before I get into the update on Suzanne Morphew, we obviously talk about a lot of dark material, and I just want to keep things a little bit light, and I'm actually going to do a quick contest for my subscribers. So if you have subscribed to Crime Hive, we're just going to do a quick contest, and it's going to be through the comments. Whoever comments and whoever's comment is most engaged, most liked, most commented on, I'm going to give you a $10 gift card. Nothing big. It's not a crazy contest at this point. I'd like to do bigger contests, and you can certainly support Crime Hive and help us do that. But there will be a gift card for that, and I'll monitor it for about 2 weeks. See where you all are on this video for comments, and we'll just PayPal it. I've got a Crime Hive PayPal that I can send over that money directly to you. So anyway, just moving beyond here and going into this update, I've got the Andy Mormon Dr. Phil video, and I'm not going to play the entire clip here, but there were a few pieces that really stuck out in my mind. You may have seen this, but I wanted to create a dialogue for this, and we're going to talk about the first thing that really piqued my interest on this interview with Dr. Phil that just occurred recently. Employee had under testimony actually given this information out and said that Barry was rambling on the road at 4 a.m. and that would have been on Mother's Day. So really interesting information that definitely could change the timeline, because a lot of us have been thinking 5 a.m. on Sunday. But now we're learning he may have been on the road, may have been speaking with employees via text, maybe even on the phone. And of course, law enforcement's not telling us this information, but we just keep getting these little pieces of the puzzle, and that if law enforcement obviously knows this information, that they would have corroborated this with whoever this employee is. Was it one of the employees that started talking about the hotel and the chlorine and all that stuff? We don't know if it's one of them. Don't know if it's another employee, but that is very interesting nonetheless, and I'm just curious on what your thoughts are with that timeline, what that means in terms of this case, and that could be really interesting in terms of, is Barry deceptive on this whole entire timeline or not? So let's continue with the last part I wanted to mention. It's just one other part that I thought was very interesting here.
So that the timeline doesn't add up at all.
No, not at all.
You've got two nieces, Mal.
And I'll just fast forward.
What about our bicycle?
About right up here. Wow. Huge information there. That was something I had never heard about. Curious what you guys know about that. If you've heard about the Facebook aspect, that if true, right? This is something. I mean, he's coming out on Dr. Phil. This is Andy Mormon, Suzanne's brother, saying that she was seen with Barry Morphew, eating a sandwich at about 4 p.m. Right? That would have been Saturday, the day before Mother's Day, and then somebody is going into her Facebook and friending all these men, apparently, that is about Andy's age, and this is at midnight, right at midnight on Mother's Day, leading into Mother's Day there. So really interesting. That is just entirely suspicious to me. Just curious what you make of that. Maybe it's nothing, maybe it is something. Just curious what you all think on that. And then I did highlight one other tiny clip from the interview here with this is with Profiling Evil. They were actually on Dr. Phil too. And I'm not going to play the whole thing here. I just wanted to play one tiny clip with this as well that I want to remind you all of in this case here as we're starting to learn a little bit more as time goes, and we're all looking for answers, obviously. So let's play this tiny little clip here.
Most likely is being victimized by someone she knew, which I assume is probably the most likely scenario that you guys entertain. Would that be correct?
We couldn't get her out of the circle in relationship to that victimology that kept pointing back to the house first. One of the most disturbing things I think that we uncovered pretty early was this conversation that her husband had with Andy's father, Gene. And, this is an 87-year-old man who's, suffering from cancer, and he gets a phone call from his son-in-law, and he's basically said, what was told to me was that, I loved your daughter, and I need you to sign some papers. And basically it was the guardianship. And Gene, essentially said, what do you mean you love my daughter? Where is she? We're going to find her. And no, I'm not signing any paperwork.
You've got the father saying that Barry had approached him about the guardianship paperwork and said that I loved your daughter, past tense, loved your daughter, and basically saying I need you to sign these papers for this guardianship. So that's really interesting, and that of course is coming from the father, and again, I don't have documentation with this. I can't corroborate this other than what they're saying, right? So much rather prefer to go off the documentation, as I always do, affidavits, court documents, things like that. Much rather prefer that, but we can still speculate, still got to ask the questions. We still want to know answers, and that's a really important piece of information in my opinion as well. So curious what you think on that. And that's really the big update that I had for Suzanne Morphew, Barry Morphew. And now I want to transition into another big update. If you're following this other case with me here involving Adam Dowdell. Now, we knew, and I've got a couple other videos on this as well, and we know that Ivry Hall was charged with murder, and he had his first court appearance, and we've learned some new information about that event, the event that occurred where Adam was murdered. So what I want to talk about here is those updates. And so what we learned from this hearing was you've got this detective who had testified, and he gave some information, and it's Detective Patterson. He discussed details of the investigation. We learned that the Montgomery police were contacted by the Chicago police, and this was after Ivry Hall went to his priest. So apparently he told the priest about what had happened. He actually said that he shot Adam in self-defense because Adam was trying to rob him, and then he did this all in self-defense, and he disposed of his body. So he tells this to this priest, and he's in Chicago. He fled to Chicago. And so the Chicago police call Montgomery police. They gave him this information, and this is what led to the arrest, right? So what we learn going further into the information, this is a picture of Ivry Hall right here. He then gives the Montgomery police the location of Adam's body, and this was in an embankment. It was apparently it was a heavily weeded area, and it was 10 to 15 feet from the road from this location that he gave. So we learned that Adam died from a single gunshot wound to the head. This was actually the back of the head. Again, Ivory saying self-defense. He believed he was going to be robbed, but the gunshot wound was to the back of the head from what we've learned. So a couple other things here as we go through what led to that as I'm reading through here. So we learned that on September 8th at about 1 p.m., there was actually a camera that showed both of them. Okay, so it shows Adam, he was seen on the camera leaving his dorm on September 8th at about 1 p.m. And then you see the two of them, so that's Adam and Ivory. They were actually in Ivory's vehicle at about 4 p.m. that same day. You actually see them towards the exit of the campus. They actually have video of that as well. Now, what Ivry had said was that they had split. So they had left at 1 p.m., but then they went different ways. And so we've seen this piece of evidence here with the 4 p.m. Capturing both of them in that vehicle. Now, we're going to learn more as I'm going through here and why that's so important. So he gives the statement. Ivry gives the statement about what he told police here. He says that they were shooting dice at about 1 p.m. They part ways, and he says that he went to attend a fraternity event. And then he says he tells this investigator that on September 11th, the day before, he was chased by a car downtown, and he was shot at. And then it resulted in a T-bone. So he gets into an accident, apparently, and crashes his vehicle. So apparently there may have been an eyewitness to that event, and this was the day before. And I'll tell you why that's important as well, because police found his vehicle. There was evidence in that vehicle. And so he mentions this to the detective. Now, as we continue to learn more about this, he then tells police that he was told to leave Montgomery. He was told to leave Montgomery at the advice of the Alabama State University police. And of course, they denied this. They say, no, we did not give him this advice to leave and go off to Chicago and to flee. So really strange sequence there, learning that information. And then we learn about the car here. So Adam's body was found, and then Ivry Hall's car was found at a tire shop. And so they found that the window had been smashed. There was a lot of blood in the vehicle. Okay, so they found a lot of blood in the glove compartment. They found it in the seat belt, on the carpet in the back seat. There were cleaning supplies in this vehicle, wet paper towels, a bottle of cleaner and bleach, which apparently had not been used though. So as we're going through this information, we had learned that apparently this murder may have taken place in Ivory's vehicle, right? May have taken place in his vehicle, shot in the back of the head. Ivry dumps Adam's body and hides it. And then he ends up fleeing to Chicago, talks to the priests. The priest gives this information up to the police here in Alabama, and then this arrest occurs. So we're still learning more details. Again, I'd like to see the court documents on that. You got some photos here of Ivry here. Again, he led a troubling life at the beginning of his life, turned his entire life around, got a scholarship to go to school, was a Golden Gloves champion apparently, and now is facing this murder charge. So I just have a couple photos here. And then of course the family, is grieving over this, and they just recently had a vigil for Adam here. So got a couple pictures from this, and I like this article here. It explains these updates, and that's why I'm utilizing the article here. Family's obviously very distraught. A lot of support from the community as they attend this vigil here. This was on the evening of September 17th, and a lot of support, a lot of community support for Adam. Very tragic event, very sad event, and it's not over. We're still learning the details. So I will keep you updated on that. I want you all to know the details on this case. And then the last thing I just want to leave you with real quick here is just the update on Braylen Noble. And you guys may already know this information. This has been out for some time. And I just wanted to know what your thoughts are on this. This is the search warrant that detectives gathered. These are the items that were gathered in this search warrant at the home where Braylen Noble lived, right? You've got the mother, the grandmother. Braylen lived here. We've got some items here in this search warrant that were collected. And I think there's a couple disturbing items. You may be thinking the same thing from this. The claw hammer that was found in the kitchen closet. Pretty disturbing. Don't know if it's related. A lot of evidence tends to be seized. They take caution with some of these items, but it was very specific. So they're adding a claw hammer in the kitchen closet. Very disturbing. And then they even took trash bags from the kitchen closet. That tells me some pretty disturbing pieces there. And again, not putting blame on Braylen's mother. A lot of people speculate that maybe she did, in fact, murder Braylen. Don't know. This information, the reason I'm sharing this, though, is this information, including the tablet, the cell phones, all these cell phones that they gathered, the tablets. They're going to do extractions on this, forensic extractions. They're going to get the mobile data. They're going to get text messages, phone calls, and they're going to be able to piece it all together. We're going to find out soon, hopefully, if his mother, Braylen's mother, had anything to do with this or not. Maybe somebody else was involved with this. Maybe it was a complete accident. A lot of people don't think that, though. Remember the swimming pool. He winds up in the swimming pool after it's been searched multiple times. How did he get to the swimming pool? Some people wondered, was there a gate? And I actually would like to ask you all too, if you've heard any information about this, about the swimming pool. Was there a gate? Was it left open? Was it closed? How did he get? How would he get to that area, to that swimming pool area? I know there's some people online in forums and all that. You may have some updated information on that, and I'd appreciate that in the comments below as well. But what are your thoughts on the claw hammer and the trash bags in this search warrant? And do you have any new information on this case with Braylen Noble as we learn more? I'll be back in another video with more updates. Of course, again, this is Dev with Crime Hive. And again, don't forget about the contest that I'm going to be running with this specific video. Appreciate your comments, and I will be back in another video soon. Y'all take care.